Thank you for joining me today on this corner of the internet. I'm relatively new to BookTube, so if you're seeing this video, thank you. Please keep watching. I really need it. I want some BookTube frenzies. I go by the internet pseudonym Marcy Starzy, and if you know me in real life, then don't bring this up at all, okay? I will be embarrassed. But moving on, these are the books that I read in July. The first book we have is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. I got this book as a gift from a friend before I went on a road trip with my mom. And I started reading this book probably 30 minutes into the road trip, and my mom said, well, hey, read it out loud. And I said, say those magic words again. You know I love to perform. So I read this out loud to her, and she would read it out loud to me on the road trip, and we finished it like in 2 days. Truly. And we were doing maybe 6 hours a day on this road trip. The Appeal is about a local theater company in the UK. And basically, on the back it says, tragedy strikes. The family of the director, Martin Hayward, and his wife, Helen, the play star. Their granddaughter is diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and they need extremely expensive experimental treatment that they think could help save her. And so basically this whole community is coming together to raise money, and then along the way there's a murder. So yes, so fun. It was just so fun. A wholly original puzzle, and I completely agree with that, with what it says on the back here. It's told in a way that is presenting the evidence to you, so it's in emails, text messages, flyers, other stuff like that, sticky notes. I have never been one to really enjoy murder mysteries. I feel like that might be a controversial thing to say. When we had to read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie in public school, I did not care. I did not like it when the literature was smarter than me, and yeah, at the time I couldn't handle that. Now, I think it's really, really fun to just throw out as many guesses as possible and see what sticks. And I do want to say that I actually did guess a couple of the twists in this book. I did not necessarily guess the final murderer, per se. My mom did, though. So, this was really, really fun. And I also felt like it brought my mother and I closer together. So while on the road trip with my mother, we stopped in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Poisoned Pen bookstore. It was really, really cool inside. I really wanted to go because I know that they were also like an independent publishing company. I cannot speak to you entirely with 100% knowledge and confidence in my heart that what I am about to relay to you is the absolute supreme truth of the nature of independent publishing, because I think they are now technically under a branch of something else, but I thought it was really, really cool, so I wanted to stop by there, and I got The Interrupted Aria by Beverle Graves Myers, and I picked this up after we finished The Appeal. She didn't want me to read this one out loud to her. It takes place in 1700s Venice, and it's all about the opera scene there. It follows our main character, Tito Amanto. This is a Tito Amanto mystery, and he is a soprano, and at the time, in order to attempt to keep male voices young, they would make them eunuchs. Yes. And so that is something that he kind of carries with him. He is also... He has complex relationships with absolutely everyone. And if they are not his family, then they are making googly eyes at him. They are making passes at him. They are sexually harassing him. Okay, this man was catnip to the people of Venice. I mean, my goodness. A murder happens in his opera house. He takes it upon himself to solve it. I hope when I say this next phrase that it makes sense. But this was written like an early 2000s book. Does that make sense? It was just very clear cut and to the point, but there were details in there, almost like you were fulfilling a creative writing assignment. It's not that I didn't have fun. I do know that this is, I believe, her debut book. So it was really fun, but it didn't necessarily like suck me in. And it all happened incredibly fast. We would be having this emotional moment, and there would be absolutely no time for it to breathe or really sink into me, because all of a sudden something else would be happening immediately. Like literally There was a part in this book where he is having a emotional conversation and then literally like the police run by and break into the scene. I absolutely loved the characters in this. I wanted to spend so much more time with them. They were all so interesting. It reads less of a murder mystery and more of just kind of a plot that we're going through mystery, if that makes sense. There wasn't a lot of cleverness to be had. There was a lot withheld until the very end. There were times when I thought, this almost feels like it would make a great sitcom or fan fiction for a sitcom because of the found family aspect of it. If there is sighing or grunting in this video, it's my dog, and she is sleeping right below me, but she has vivid dreams. I also remember thinking that his brother can get it. And that is based off one scene where his brother kicks down a door, and I thought, yeah, I know that man can get it. So, yes, if I come across any more of her books, I would really like to read them. I would be very interested to see what else happens in this world. Continuing with the murder mystery hoorah that I found myself caught up in, I read The Twyford Code by Janice Hallett. Yes, I am slowly but surely going to be making my way through the entirety of this woman's works because she is phenomenal. Absolutely, I don't know anyone in real life who has read this book, and I really liked it. It was definitely one of, like, it's not about the murder mystery, it's about the friends we make along the way to help solve the murder mystery. And I don't know, I just really liked this one. When I looked it up, it didn't seem like anyone on any reading blogs shared the same opinion that I did, and that made me feel sad because I liked this one and other people said they didn't. But I also think, like, the murder isn't the point. I'm sorry, someone just walked by my window. The murder isn't the point. It's the people that are the point. It's the people that we care about. This one is told through voice memo transcripts, so both the Appeal and the Twyford Code have that in common. I know that she's going to release a Christmas spin-off of the Appeal, and then I know she has another book coming out, and then if she doesn't already have another one, this is to say, I am trying to make my way through all of Janice Hallett's book because I am a Janice Hallett fan. Put it on a baseball cap for me. Janice Hallett murder mystery fan. So at Barnes & Noble, they were doing their buy one, get one half off on paperbacks, and I thought, I have money to spend. And so I picked up The Escape Artist by Jonathan Freedland. This follows Rudolf Verba, who becomes one of the very first Jewish people to escape Auschwitz. It follows his life before, during, and after, and I could not put this down. I don't know how to properly impress upon a camera and empty air and my dog that is sleeping underneath me how much I loved this book. I can see myself rereading this again, honestly in 6 months, because it was really heavy. But I loved... That sounds really weird. I loved reading about all of this. No, I didn't love reading about it, but it definitely took me in, and I was, even though I knew logically, like it tells you on the cover that he escapes, when he was attempting to escape, I was on the edge of my seat. Oh my gosh, I did not want him to get caught. There were so many just incredible details about this man and the history of everything, and I just found it so incredibly fascinating and important, and it really made me look at history and World War II and the Holocaust in just a new light. And then that also, it made me look at things like Schindler's List and how, like, the media and history is now told about stuff like this, because he escapes and he releases this report, and no, I don't know. I don't know what to say because I don't want to give you spoilers on history, but I really hope that you decide to pick this up and read it. I really enjoyed this. And then after that, I read The Audition by Ryu Murakami. You might be sensing a theme at this point with some of the books that I'm attracted to, which is anything that has to do with theatery things or entertainment-y, acty things I am going to like. This book is it's pretty short and it's a horror novel. Do not let absolutely anything about this fool you. This is a horror book. It follows this guy who creates an audition process to find the perfect wife. And he finds her. He finds the perfect woman. And that might not always be what it's cracked up to be. And good for her. I tabbed this book, and it's been the first book that I think I've tabbed in a long, long time. And I tabbed it because there were so many moments that were just so funny to me. I mean, there were moments when I first started reading this, my mouth was on the floor because I thought, are you kidding me? This is funny. This is a funny book. Like, there's no way they can be taking, there's absolutely no way they can be taking this seriously. And by they, I mean the author. They're talking about someone who was connected to this girl before this guy. Supposedly he was from a well-connected family and things were hushed up to prevent scandal. But well, according to the rumor, his heart attack was caused by someone trying to cut off his feet from the ankles down. In other words, he was murdered, supposedly. But again, I got this from a bar hostess. Sounds like something out of Friday the 13th. Probably not even worth checking out. It is funny. This is a funny book. I had such a great time, and I think you would too. I haven't read a lot of horror or thriller because I've always been kind of afraid of those genres. Honestly, I haven't read a lot of like anything outside of like young adult, new adult romance, but I'm really excited to change my ways. I really branched out this month, and I'm really, really proud of that. So now we're basically going to get into all the books that I borrowed from my library that I cannot physically show you, but following up the audition, I checked out this book from my library, and to me, it felt like the natural continuation of Horror Perfect Woman to How to Win the Bachelor. I am incredibly invested in this latest season of The Bachelorette, okay? I am a Charity Lawson fan. I love her in like the total parasocial way. I really do need her to find true love on her season. It's actually important to me, okay? Because if she doesn't find it, I am personally going to be devastated. But I was really curious. I had seen the season before that she was on with Zach Shellcross, I think was his name. And I remember they talked about one of the girls was caught reading this book or having it in her luggage, and I thought, ooh, I just always enjoy being the smartest person in the room, and I felt like this book would do that for me. But I also feel like maybe I've stuffed my brain with a lot of reality TV knowledge, and I'm worried about what fell out while making room for that. But yeah, if you have any interest in reality TV, then I really recommend reading this book because it broke it down to a science. That being said, if you are someone that enjoys watching reality TV because you like thinking that it's real, then this is not the book for you because you will be sad. Do not let the premise or the cover fool you. This was full of statistics and verbiage, and it kind of left me exhausted. I did have to power through this one by the end because I just wanted to read other things. After that, I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. Yes. This is the first book we have gotten to that is BookTube, Book Talk famous, and I will be putting it in the thumbnail and probably the title to try and garner views to myself. Thank you very much. I actually don't have a lot to say about this book because at this point I think everyone else has said everything that I could possibly say. She is a great writer. I cannot wait to see what else she releases. I can see McCurdy releasing a collection of short stories and me absolutely loving those. I think this is probably the only celebrity memoir that is actually interesting and well written and poignant. I think she had so much to say that was just so beautifully said and interesting. I mean, I was the perfect demographic for this book. Okay, I grew up watching iCarly. Sam was my favorite character. I was always curious about like, hey, what else was she doing? I knew that she had that Netflix show, but yes. Absolutely lovely. Thank you, Jennette McCurdy. I cannot imagine how scary it must have been to release something like this. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm a Jennette McCurdy fan. Just to review, what am I a fan of? Actory, theatery things in books. Jennette McCurdy, Janice Hallett, Charity Lawson, cults. Okay? Let's talk about cults. I love learning about cults. I think they are so fascinating, so interesting. When I saw this book in my library, I absolutely was like, okay, I have to read this. This is Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. This is a book that covers everything from Jonestown to SoulCycle to multi-level marketing scheme. I was totally taken in by this. Amanda Montell has such a unique voice, and she's funny too. So as I was reading about these like horrific things that would happen, she would also lighten it up along the way, and it just made it made me as the reader not get down in the dumps with how horrific mankind can be, and instead I almost felt positive about it all. Okay, my air just did kick on, so for the rest of this video it might be a little weird. If you have any interest in cults, if you like nonfiction, or if you just want to take a break from maybe whatever it is you're reading, I recommend Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism, because it was really... Is it weird to say it was fun? Because it was fun. Super recommend. Oh my gosh, I have read a lot of really good books in July. I did Christmas in July. I did a little Christmas in July. There's a whole video on it, and so the next two books I'm going to talk about, I went way more into depth about them in my Christmas in July video. The first one is The Matzah Ball. Yes, it is about a Hanukkah romance, and it was really, really fun. I'm a Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt fan. Yes, super fun, super good. It wasn't like the strongest romance I've ever read, but honestly, who am I to judge? You know, I've never written a romance book, and I had a really good time. So really, what more are you gonna ask from a holiday romance book, you know? The other book I read was A Witch for Mr. Holiday. I do not recommend this book. I really wanted something to do with witches and Christmas, and absolutely nothing in this book is influenced by the fact that there are witches and it's Christmas time, okay? Now, I'm not saying I wanted holiday angst, but come on, if you're gonna have a misunderstanding, at least make it last more than 2 pages. Yeah, you can hear me really go into it in the Christmas in July video. There's probably little chapter headings, so you can just click and fast forward to it, because I did not like this one. I'm sure she has other books that are really popular, because she is prolific and a New York Times bestselling author. Deanna Chase, woohoo. Matzah Ball, Jean Meltzer. Recommend. And now, the final book that I read for the month of July was, well, I guess final book that I completed for the month of July, was Eros the Bittersweet by Carson. This was a book club book. I recently moved to a new area, and I'm trying to make friends, and I saw that this was a book club that was going on. I was unprepared for the highbrow literature of this. I thought I was going to be able to just easily knock this out in like a day or two. Absolutely not. It was pretty, but also dense. It was Carson's thesis, and she's exploring this concept of Eros, or romantic erotic love, through early Greek writings. And I found it incredibly interesting. I think that if you have any interest in writing romance, you should totally read this, because it will really just open your mind to what it means to yearn in a way. Something that really stuck out to me in this book was this argument that she makes about how Greek writings are some of the earliest texts that we have. One of the first things that people decided to write about was Eros, this concept of yearning, romantic, erotic love, which, I mean, I don't know. I had just never thought about it before. I had never really thought, wow, like when we got the ability to write things down and remember things, what was it that we wanted to remember? And we wanted to remember this. So those were all the books that I read for the month of July. Well, read and completed. I also started Do Not Detonate, which is Wes Anderson's collected articles on what inspired Asteroid City. And then I also started reading My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, which I have now finished both. So, feeling really good about that. Feeling really, really good. Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that a book out here stuck out to you. If you have any recommendations for a Christmas witch romance book, please send it my way. Please. If you have read any of these books, please just say a little something about it, because I want to know. I want to know. There's not a lot of people in my life who are reading as many things out there as I am. So if you're a Janice Hallett fan, please let me know. If you have any If you know of any people out there who are making videos about Janice Hallett, please let me know, because if I can leave you with anything today, it's that it's not about the murder mystery. It's about the friends that we made along the way. I hope that you decide to subscribe. Goodbye.